What's up, guys? Documenting, starting to get some of my parts in for my K5 Blazer buildup. Well, it's not a full buildup, but I'm doing quite a bit to it. Got my parts from Off-Road Design. These guys are great. Really have nice stuff. And really, if you got a square body, you got to know Off-Road Design and then DIY 4x. And another one I'm going to mention, because I'll have parts coming from them too, is Merrick's Garage. Doing the late model Tahoe, Yukon, Denali, Escalade third row seat to replace the stock back seat in the Blazer. Merrick's Garage makes the brackets that bolt down to the floor so you can use those third row seats. And I think I found some seats for a couple $100. So I'm going to get his brackets and do the rear seats, and then DIY 4x. I'm getting my full roll cage, and I'm getting the family bars. My kids are going to be riding in the back, and I want it to be safe, so a roll cage is necessary. Any top heavy vehicle or vehicle that's lifted, it's just a good idea to have a safe way to strap them in there. My son's still in a car seat, and my daughter's in a booster seat, so if I can use late model seats that use late model belts and attachment points for the car seat, I'm all for it. It's a small price to pay to keep your loved ones safe. So anyways, got some of my suspension steering parts in today. These are my raised shock mounts for the front. I'll be running a 14-inch Bilstein shock in the front, and I will be running a 12-inch Bilstein shock in the rear with a Bilstein steering stabilizer. And then I got from Off-Road Design, I got their sway bar disconnect, sway bar correction kit, and that'll work out real nice. Hopefully help with some of the bump steer and on-road steer that I get. And to fix some of the steering problems, I got this U-joint style, really nice steering shaft from Off-Road Design. And it's more expensive than just buying a Jeep one or whatever, I know that. But these guys make heavy-duty killer parts that are going to work and are going to work as good as possible. So I didn't really want to mess around with doing the Jeep one. And I don't have a lot of time because, as you can see, I already get to fix cars all day, every day. So that's what I do. But yeah, I got over here, I got my torque converter, and I pieced together an alternator stuff for my motor. So basically, and I got my ARP bell housing bolts and stuff, and a little update on the Camaro. She's coming along. It's not the upper alternator bracket I'm going to use. I was just looking at some different things for mock-up. But yeah, built this little 355, and yeah, should run really nice. Turned out really good, and yeah, it's a really sweet car. And for those muscle car lovers like me, yes, it has the louver hood, and it definitely has, wait for it, dun dun dun, hideaway headlights. A lot of people love those. They're not my favorite. I really like the regular 69 Camaro front end, but beautiful car nonetheless. I mean, nobody's complaining. Anyways, this car really needed the motor done to finish it and make this car all nice, so we got rid of all the hokey at the motor. And motor for the Blazer, I dynoed that. Got that finished up a few weeks ago. I've just been super busy. I think I'm gonna paint the motor all black. I know I did all this Army stuff and it looks really cool. And honestly, if I had the H1 Humvee wheels and was able to paint the rest of the truck, I would probably leave it alone and stick with this. But I think I'm just gonna paint it all black because I'm not sure on the wheels yet. Wheels and tires. I'm either gonna go with what I have for now, which is a 35, 12.5, 16 with a 16-inch it's like old school like Mickey Thompson aluminum wheel. And they're okay. There's nothing wrong with that. My truck has a 6-inch lift with a 1-inch body lift. I got a new set of body bolts from ODR because I'm actually taking out the body lift off my truck and getting rid of it. But anyways, I wanted to get the look a little bit better, and it didn't need to be as high as it is for a 35. So I'm probably going to go wheel and tire wise. I'm thinking about going with a 36 or 37 IROC radial, and I'm going to get that sucker as wide as I can. So a 13.5, 14 inch on a 16.5 inch Bart Super Trucker black wheel. Either going to go that route, or my other idea was to put big wheels and tires on it, like 22 inch fuel rims with a 37 inch mud terrain. That looks cool too. I like both. But honestly, this truck is going to mainly be driven on the road. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but I do want it to be capable when I go off road, because I will be doing that. I know I'm not worried about busting wheels up. Whatever shit breaks, it's going to happen. But I don't know. I'm having a hard time deciding on the wheels. It's a big chunk of change either way. I mean, it really doesn't cost much difference money-wise. So I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I like the big wheels. I think they look cool. I honestly think a 20-inch wheel, 12-inch wide, with a 37 by 12, 5 to 14-inch tire looks really good. I think when you go too big, it looks really awkward on a Blazer. You know, if you go like a 20, I definitely wouldn't go 24s or 26s. But yeah, anyways, these Bilsteins will help control the big wheel and tire. And yeah, I'm doing Willwood dual piston front calipers with new rotors, and then I'm moving my front brakes to the rear so I can put rear discs on the 14 bolt. And so I'm gonna be able to save some money there and just buy the brackets from DIY 4x. So I'll buy the brackets from them, I'll get the cage, and I will get they had one other thing I might get. I might get another steering box brace. Not the one that welds to the frame, but there's another one that's a bolt-on. Mine already has the weld-on brace. I might add another brace there. And then, yeah, so I got, I love these shifters because this is how I grew up. Everything I had ratchet shifters in it. And, man, they've gotten expensive. $350 for the truck version of the Hearst Promatic. But, hey, I got to have it, so it is what it is, you know. I can always make more money. But, yeah, very nice shifter. I love the way these work. And I like to shift when I'm driving, so... but I have a bad back, and the nerve damage in my legs from shattering 2 discs in my lower spine about 7 years ago, so I can't really do a clutch so good. So, you know, I'm stuck with an automatic, but I'm going to make it as manual as possible. And yeah, worked for me for now. Just got a turbo 350. The motor dynoed out 340 horse and 380 foot-pounds of torque. The problem is that it had 105 pounds of oil pressure with the high-pressure, high-volume oil pump. My oil pressure gauge that I used to test it with was wrong. It was not accurate. So my original oil pump was doing just fine. So when I was at the dyno, it was literally fighting that oil pump the whole time with the thicker oil that I had in it. It was not a good thing. And I immediately took out the high pressure spring, took the pan off, and what I did was I left the high volume pump on there, but I put the standard pressure spring out of my other pump in it. And I know that it's still going to have fairly high oil pressure, but there's at least 10 horsepower there. I mean, it really, drags a lot when you try to run too much oil pressure. So that will be probably a solid 350 horsepower, all broken in, driving around. But it did good for the XE256, very small cam, and that Performer EPS. I'm not happy with that intake manifold, though, because the distribution was worse than I've seen on other dual planes on the dyno. I think that I would just immediately go to the Performer RPM. And in fact, I think I'm going to put one on it. It's a better intake manifold. I just think it would work better, even at part throttle. I don't think there's any situation on a 350 or bigger motor where I would use the Performer or Performer EPS, to tell you the truth. I'd rather run a port match factory intake than messing around with that EPS. I wasn't happy with it. I didn't like I had to run pretty big staggered jetting. One side of the motor was about 10-to-1 air-fuel ratio. The other side was dead nuts perfect at about 12.8, 13.0. So I staggered the jetting best I could. I got one side of the motor to about 11.8, so it's still fat, and the other side of the motor is about perfect. So I'm not missing too much power there, but I don't like having one side of the motor running differently than the other to that extent. Most of the time, it's like a half a point of air-fuel ratio, on a Performer RPM. Oh, and all the EGT for each cylinder is very close. You don't have a big swing. So anyways, I'll quit walking around and mumbling. Just want to give an update on the projects I got going on. I'm happy with the Summit heads, and the motor ran perfect. I mean, otherwise, nobody would ever know a difference, driving it around. You'd never even see those things. It's just things I noticed that I take note of, that I, go, I tried that with a spacer, with no spacer. With this spacer, it made about 4 more horsepower up top, and it didn't lose any torque down low, because it has a pretty small plenum in the EPS intake. So definitely run a 1-inch open spacer. I ran it without the spacer. All it did was kill some top end, and it didn't help anything down low, which is odd. So I think that intake manifold it wants more. That style motor, the heads worked amazing. I think I got a more than enough head flow than that motor needs. And so my torque peak was fairly high in the RPM range. And that motor peaked with the XC256 at 5,500, not like 5,000 or 5,200 like you would think. I think it had plenty of airflow. That wasn't an issue at all. And the other thing is I ran it with open headers. So I killed a bunch of low-end torque by running it with open headers. But if I would have thrown on, 3 feet of exhaust pipe off the back of the headers, I would have gained probably 30, 40 foot-pounds of torque down low. I've seen that many times, done that many times, and, that's why the torque number is a little on the low side, but it's not bad. I think it'll run a lot better in the truck than the numbers suggest. But it's really a nothing crazy 350. Come to find out, it's really about 8.75 to 1. So for what it is, it does fine. I mean, I can't expect any more than that. I mean, the Vortec headed 330 horse crate motor has a very similar cam, and with Vortec heads and 9-to-1 compression, and it makes a little less power than mine. So, I'm happy with that. It's not bad. I might not change a thing. I might just run it the way it is. And it's all set up, ready to go. I just need to get the rest of the parts here so I can do the cage, and then the gauges and everything else. So, and obviously shifter, shocks, all that stuff. I'm going to stick with my lift for now, which is a 6-inch lift in it. It's pretty stiff, not too fun on my back, but I'm going to do the rear seat upgrade, and I'm also going to put late model seats in the front. I think that would be the way to go. And I'm not looking for like the leather fancy seats either. I'm looking for maybe even cloth or, a base leather seat, but I like the integrated seat belts. I think it's safer, and I think it will sit me up pretty good. I'm 6'1", so I don't need the seat to be real high, but I would like it to be, comfortable and sit you up a little bit, because K5 sits you down a little bit low sometimes. So I'm going to do the seat swap, and then the front and rear seats will hopefully match. Hopefully I can make them, the interior not too cobbled together looking. And then I'm going to do a stereo at some point. Anyways, I better turn the key off in this Toyota and let you guys go. Anyways, want to give an update. Hope everybody's doing good out there, and glad the world's opening back up. All right, take care.